Welcome to Turning Hard Times to Good Times. I'm your host, Jay Taylor, and I'm speaking to you from New York City on the 7th day of July 2020. Before I talk more about today's show, I do like to remind you I'm the editor of Jay Taylor's Gold, Energy, and Tech Stocks. You can sign up for that newsletter by going to miningstocks.com. Miningstocks.com, and I would suggest that now is the best time that I've seen in a long time to consider subscribing to my letter, because these junior mining companies that I'm following are really moving very aggressively and making people that own them a lot of money. So it is a good time, 718-457-1426. You can go there, give us a call during normal working hours, or just simply go to miningstocks.com and sign up for the letter there. Also encourage you to consider signing up for Chen Lin's letter. Chen does well in the mining space as well, but his real winners have come more recently, at least in the biotech sector. So if you're interested in someone who covers the exciting, high-risk, high-reward biotech sector, Chen Lin is your place to go to for that. I do want to thank all of you for listening to this show, making it one of the more popular shows in the Voice America Business Channel, and I also want to encourage you to continue sending along your questions, or comments, whatever they may be, to questionsfortaylor@gmail.com, questions4@gmail.com. Also want to thank our sponsors, because without them there would be no show. Our sponsors this week: Great Bear Resources, Benchmark Metals, Hannon Metals, Irving Resources, Novo Resources, and Sitka Gold Corp. Normally Michael Oliver would be with us today every other week, but due to a scheduling conflict, he is unable to be with me and to join me today. He is scheduled to be back next week, however. But in his absence, I thought I would pass along a couple of his comments from this past weekend's 360-degree weekend report Michael puts out every Saturday or Sunday, and it's that in itself is well worth the subscription. He has missives that come out during the week, too. He covers lots and lots of markets besides the ones he normally talks to us about when he's on the show. But I'll just pass along a couple of remarks that he made in his 360 weekend report concerning gold and silver and a couple of the things that we track, mostly in the equity markets. Regarding the equity markets, Michael wrote, and I quote, "The action since June 11th, that is the sharp drop day, has been repeatedly groping to get back up to 3,200 to rejoin that 4 days of action up there in early June. But so far, with repeated rallies, even Thursdays, the market has failed to achieve that and failed to erase that possible island top. The clock is ticking. Get it done, bulls, or watch this process roll over," end of quote. Well, as we were going to start this show today, it was the S&P 500 was selling at 3160. I see it's right now at 3159. So it is a little ways below that key level that Michael thinks, but he thinks they better get it done quickly or it's going to roll over. So Michael has been bearish on the equity market. I think it surprised him. Its resilience and its ability to stay up there, but hey, they keep throwing trillions of dollars into the system, and if it can't get out into the real economy, it stays in the financial markets. Well, I would say that's the reason stocks are going on, and there is indeed, unfortunately, a major disconnect between the equity markets and what's happening in the real economy. No matter what Donald Trump might tell you, or anybody that's in office, all the presidents always put out reports that are suspect, I think. So either party, that's been my experience in the past. Anyway, other things that Michael had to say, he commented on Microsoft, commented and gave charts, always gives charts, various commodities, including soybeans, sugar, base metals. With regard to silver, let me just quote what he said about that. He said, "Silver has a pending level overhead on its annual momentum that we've specified before. Trade to 20% over the zero line, 36-month average, and this annual momentum chart will blow its cork with a triple top breakout. Two prior peaks in 2016 and 2019 halted precisely at 19.4% over the 36-month average. The 20% breakout number applicable for July is a trade up to $19.48. That's a 78-cent Troy ounce above last week's traded high in July silver." So he's looking at the July contract. I keep my eyes on the spot contract, but the forward is usually is considerably higher. So anyway, Michael says, see that, and if you see that level, 1948, expect silver to begin an advance that takes it to the undesirable, or the underside, I should say, not undesirable if you're a bull, it's very desirable, to the underside of $30 before any serious pause. So in other words, get over 1948, and Michael thinks that we're going to see a straight line pretty much up towards $30 for silver. And as we were going to the show, silver was trading on the spot market at 1827 bid, 1838 ask. Regarding senior gold mining stocks as compared to the more junior stocks, those that are closer to the kind of companies that I cover in my newsletter, J. Taylor's Gold, Energy, and Tech Stocks, Michael showed a couple of charts displaying the juniors as measured by GDXJ is catching up with their more senior brethren, GDX. Now, you need to see the charts in Michael's letter to really appreciate this, but the GDXJ has broken through the underside of a downtrend channel and is looking very strong at this point relative to GDX. You know, you need to go to olivermsa.com, and sign up for Michael's letter to really get the full advantage. Michael comes on, he shares his time with us, he'll be with us next week, but Michael Oliver is really worth listening to, really worth reading more than listening to. And his charts are really, really helpful in understanding. And he's been so helpful to me, which is why I have him on so constantly on this show. I would just add that the really big miners in a bull market like the one we're in now, the really big gold miners are the first to move. Then the smaller companies begin to move as the large fish start to devour or seek after and swim and consume the smaller ones. Assuming the bull market in gold will continue as I do through 2021, I really believe that we're going to see an increasing number of mergers and acquisitions as the big companies are really depleting their reserves and can't really find them fast enough to replace what they're producing. And this will inevitably lead to bidding, I think, among the big boys for the smaller producers that can help sustain the lives of the big mining companies. It will also lead to the acquisition of major new gold deposits, several of which are emerging with the exploration companies that I follow at J. Taylor's Gold, Energy, and Tech Stocks, which you can subscribe to again by going to miningstocks.com. Now, one company that figures to be hunted down by the majors is Great Bear Resources, which put out yet another fantastic assay on Monday. I believe this is a 10 million plus ounce gold deposit in the making in Ontario at the Red Lake, in the Red Lake District of Ontario, and I think it figures to be one of the major prizes that I believe the big guys are going to be looking after. Chris Taylor, the president of Great Bear, will be with me next week to give us an update, but I can tell you personally that I am hanging on to the remaining shares that I own in Great Bear for dear life. This report that was put out this past weekend showed continuing high grades at depth, and in fact, the width of the zones and the high grades are expanding at depth. It's continuous. The drill results are showing amazing continuity, which is always important. You don't want blank spots in between gold deposits, but if you have continuous gold mineralization, that really adds to the economics. The size of this thing just keeps getting bigger. The depth they keep hitting deeper holes that are still mineralized. It is an amazing story, and one that I think hasn't seen its peak by any means at this point in time. In terms of the deposit, of course, as they start to delineate the resource, I think more and more people will have a firm grasp of just how valuable that company's Dixie project is. In addition to Great Bear, there are several other stocks that I follow in my letter that I think have the potential to become major winners. Companies like Novo Resources, Irving Resources, Klondike Gold, Lion One, Galway Metals, Sitka Gold Corp. There are others as well. There are many others, and it's just really an amazing, exciting time to be in this industry because these companies are able to raise money, test their geological theories, put holes in the ground to test those theories, and when they're finding major deposits, as several of them are, it's a very exciting time to be owning these stocks. So I hope that you will consider, once again, to sign up for my letter. One of the non-gold stocks that I'm extremely bullish about is Hannon Metals, which has discovered a deposit that I believe will be a massive copper-silver deposit in Peru. in just a few minutes, Michael Hudson of Hannon Metals will be with me to give you an update on that company's San Martin project. Now, this was Bob Moriarty's top pick for this year, and since then it has risen from around 17 cents in Canadian money to 38 cents, even before any drilling has taken place. But this is an amazing story as well, and one I think has huge upside potential, and it is so large, the deposit, it needs to be drilled and delineated. But based on surface expressions, and they do know a lot about the third dimension of this geology because the oil companies were in there doing a lot of exploration earlier before Hannon got involved in this. So there's a lot of geological information. They know a lot about the depth of these deposits and structures, and the surface grades are very high, silver and copper. So a very exciting story. And you'll hear from Michael Hudson right after, just a couple of minutes as soon as we finish our first commercial break. Well, I've titled today's show, Dollar Destruction and a Golden Chinese Currency. My main guest today is Alistair Mcleod. Alistair argues that a dollar collapse is likely to occur by the end of 2020, taking all the synchronized Western economies and their currencies down with it. With a dollar collapse, China's interest will shift, Alistair argues, from supporting dollar strength to owning the world's reserve currency. But Alistair believes that will require China to back the renminbi, or the yuan, with gold, and he says China can easily do that given the vast supplies of gold it has accumulated over the past several decades. With a dollar that Alistair believes with the dollar's demise, Alistair believes not only gold but other tangible assets, starting with other monetary metals like silver and copper, will thrive as well. Well, we do have to go to commercial break now, but don't go away because as soon as we come back, Michael Hudson will be with us to talk about the San Martin project, which I think is well worth listening to. It's one that I have invested in. It is a top pick in my newsletter, so I hope you'll hang around to hear what Michael has to say. And then finally, the second half of today's show, I'll be talking to Alistair Mcleod.